Hello, welcome to episode 368 of the Casual Tryhard podcast. I'm
And
Brian,
I'm James.
and today we're talking real estate.
Not just
Location,
that.
location, location.
Not just that, but you get to see Brian too. He's like moving around. He's
Y-
animated. It's not a
Yeah,
still picture. Or
we are now. I've been banished to the web version of Discord, but it worked for some reason,
it's
so here I
working. So
am.
yep.
So maybe we'll figure out how to go back to the desktop version like a real boy. But right now I am. We might be uninstalling Discord and trying again.
Hey,
Uh, so. But we are gonna talk lands. This was an idea from you, the listeners.
that's right.
So if you have show ideas, or again, we are rapidly approaching another set release. So
hmm
pre-release season is happening. Maybe it happened Tuesday as you were listening, or it was like the first look stream or something.
Yeah, I think it's the first look stream is tomorrow as we're recording this a couple days ago when you're listening to this. So I'm sure there'll be some information in there that we're going to want to talk about. And typically shortly after that, spoilers start. Like the set
Yeah.
releases on the 26th. Is that right?
Oh, it's it. Okay. Yeah, it is. It is later in June because it was like the longest time between sets.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you have ideas of things you want us to talk about around Marvel superheroes, I will admit I'm a casual MCU person. I'm not deep in the lore. So if you're
Yeah.
like, so don't be like, oh, he doesn't know his Marvel. He knows his MCU, which I know is different. Um, but reach out to us on the internet, Facebook, Discord, email, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, all the places. Come in, say hey, and let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yep.
If not, we're just going to talk about cards and mechanics like we always do, because this happens every like 3 days, it seems.
We're probably going to do that anyway, but it's nice to do some other topics once in a while. This one I think is pretty interesting, so hopefully this turns out to be a good episode and useful for somebody out there on the interwebs. Like
Yeah.
Brian said, if you got anything to get at us with, all those links are down in the doobly doo down below. If you want to support the show, you can do so via our Patreon, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Patrons get early access to my show notes, so you kind of get a sneak peek about what the episode's going to be about for the week. You also get approximately an hour of additional content out of us every week in the form of our unshow. If you've been following along recently, we've had some technical difficulties. We try to keep that out of the actual show, so we spend about an hour before the show making sure our microphone and cameras and whatever else are working the way they're supposed to, or at least trying to. And we don't really see each other that often anymore, so we also take that time to kind of catch up a little bit, talk about anything and everything. Sometimes it's magic related, sometimes it's personal stuff, sometimes it's random bridges in Horry County. You never really know. And we never really know. It's completely unscripted, unedited. We just pump it out there for the patrons. They seem to really enjoy it. So if you're interested in that, or the show notes, or if you just want to support the show, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Head on over there, chip a couple bucks in, support the show, and get access to stuff.
Yeah. We haven't done bridges in a while. We've
We
been
haven't.
slacking on our bridge content.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone asked us to kind of like rank dual lands, and James was smart enough to go, we can't do every dual land in the history of Magic. That's
Right.
too many.
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about kind of the lands that are currently available in Standard.
Yeah. I don't know that you kind of alluded to this a little bit in between the unshow and the actual show, but for the most part, it's not that a specific kind of land is good or bad. Like, oh, everybody should be playing the planets from Edge of Eternities. It's more about like what the planets represent than like the actual planets.
Yeah,
Like some decks are going to gravitate towards certain kinds of lands. Some decks are going to gravitate towards others. And not necessarily dual lands. Like some of these lands are just kind of utility lands, single colored with an ability. And there's certain kinds of decks that want those, like the planets. So I
Yeah,
think like a lot of this stuff can be kind of extrapolated back into other sets that we're not going to talk about. Like, I mean, I don't have time to go through 30 years
every
of Magic sets and talk about every land, and especially now that there's 9 sets a year.
yeah. So like if we don't talk about every land, like the lands that we're gonna talk about are kind of archetypal.
Mm-hmm.
Like while they have like they've twisted some knobs here and there, and for the most part they've made some of the lands significantly better
Mm-hmm.
and kind of their like analog from 5 or 10 years ago.
Yep.
Like the type of deck that wants that land typically hasn't changed.
Right.
So I think the first like big overarching thing is depending on what type of deck you are, determines how important it is that your lands come into play untapped.
Well, it also determines when you want your lands to be untapped, because that's a thing now too that it didn't
Fair,
used to
yeah.
be. Obviously, aggro decks want to end the game by turn 4 or 5.
Hmm.
So if your lands come into play tapped for the first 2 turns, you're going to have an awful hard time ending the game by turn 4 or 5. And you aren't really interested in making anything past probably your 4th land drop. So, like all of the lands that care about like having a whole bunch of lands in play, or comes into play tapped and has an ability or whatever, like all of that stuff is pretty much off the table if you're an aggro deck.
Yeah, so like I don't know if there are any in standard, but the fast lands, right? They enter the battlefield untapped.
Mm-hmm.
If you control, basically, if it is like if it's your third, if your first, second, or third land, it
Yep.
comes into play untapped. I forget the exact wording. Right?
The outlaws lands were enemy fast lands.
Yes. So, right, those lands are really good for two color aggro decks
Mm-hmm.
because they're gonna come into play untapped when you need them early on in the game. Where if you're a control deck, you're typically not going to spend your mana on turn one.
Right.
So you can play a land that's going to come into play tapped on turn one.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even play your mana on turn two. Right? It's nice to have the ability to, but you might
Right.
not have to.
Yep.
Right? So you're more like you're okay with lands that are going to come into play tapped if they're going to buy you advantage later in the game.
Right. Also, like another thing to think about with like a control deck that wants to play a really long game is you like that kind of deck is all about making good decisions. And because of that, you can find a window also to have a land come into play tapped. Like if you really need to get to 2 mana to hold a soft counter spell up, but don't have a lot to do on turn 3, like maybe you don't play your tap land on turn 2, you wait until turn 3. Like you can find a place to squeeze in one of those tap lands.
Yeah, or you're like, I want to have 3 mana up for this counter. I'll play my fourth land tapped and I'll still have my 3 mana for my counter.
Right.
And then I can make my decisions from there, the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like we're an aggro deck, you just want lands untapped.
Right. Yep. Your first few turns are worth more. Like turns 1 and 2 are worth more to you than turns 5 and 6. So you want to make sure you have all of your resources available.
And in that same vein, like pain lands, like Starting Town,
Mm-hmm.
where it's kind of a fast land,
Mm-hmm.
but it also deals damage to you.
Yep.
And, like you're more okay with that in an aggro deck, where you're like, well, if I deal myself 2 or 3 damage from my mana base as the game goes on, that's fine because it's going to allow me to deal 10 damage
Right.
to my opponent, right? Whereas a Starting Town is not a land you would play in a control deck because you don't want to be in a situation where you're like, oh, if I tap this for blue, I kill myself,
Yep.
right? So, Starting Town's like not a great example, but like Mana Confluence, City of Brass,
That's what I was just
even
going to
things like
say. We were talking, I think the last episode we did, we talked a little bit about Living End and how,
Mhm.
like, the old Living End mana bases were just rainbow lands because you needed to make sure that you could hit all of your cyclers and have appropriate mana available for not just your cyclers but your like your cascade spells as well. Like that deck was
Hmm.
very mana dependent, and it didn't really matter what your life total was when you cast Living End because it's a combo deck. Like you're either
You
going to
usually
do the
want,
thing or
yeah.
you're not going to do the thing, and the game's over. So like they don't. All they care about is having untapped sources that provide the color mana that they need.
Yeah. So think about when you're like picking your lands, think about what your deck's trying to do
Mm-hmm.
and how the lands help you do that. Not just like, well, I have all these dual lands that come into play tapped, and I have 16 sources of each
Yeah,
land color or whatever. Like, okay, but like you can't cast your spells until turn 3 or 4.
yeah,
Does that line up with what your deck's trying to do?
right.
Right. So,
Well, I think there's one more thing that we should touch on
okay.
before we move on to the actual lands, and that's utility lands.
Hmm.
So utility lands are kind of weird because like certain utility lands you really want in a control deck and certain utility lands you really want in an aggro deck. So like what's the difference there? How can you have the same kind of land want to be in two different archetypes?
I feel like in aggro decks, you are trying to mitigate flood.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I drew 6 lands instead of 4, but my land helped me get damage through,
Remy up
or
ruins.
helped me, yeah, Ramen Up Ruin, or was a creature
Yep.
like Mutavault
Yep.
and let me get a few more points of damage in, or protected me from a wrath.
Yep.
Where a lot of times in control decks, the the lands are on some level like the same in that they're a mana sink. They allow
Yep.
you to spend your mana. They're also giving you some sort of like long term advantage. So if you go way back, you have like Castle Vantress,
Yep.
where like it lets you set up the top of your library by like scrying to each turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that same standard, you had Castle Ardenvale that like made a 1/1, and that was the control deck's win con
Yep.
was make a 1/1. It also slowed the game down because they could be like chump block,
Yep.
and make you like commit another creature to the board to make their wrath a little bit better.
Castle
And
Lochthwain draws you cards.
that's hmm and then you go further, then you had Hall of the Storm Giant,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was usually like it was like an untapped land on like the first 2 turns.
Yep.
It became like was it like a 6/6 with
I
ward?
think it was a 7/7.
Yeah, it was something enormous, and it was
Yeah.
like once they got control of the game, it gave them a quick way to close the door.
Yep.
So they didn't actually have to spend any cards in their deck on winning the game.
Right. It's in your mana base.
Yeah, like every spell was an answer, and win the game was, a fancy island,
Yep.
right? And then you have, I guess, what was it Restless Anchorage, the creature land, the 2/3 that was the blue white tap
Oh
duel,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Same kind of thing. Like it gave them like some kind of filtering and card selection
Mm-hmm.
and a slow way to win the game. What a way to win the game, or a way to like chump block and like stabilize a little bit
Yeah.
until they drew the next answer. So I think control decks are more looking for long-term value and ways to win the game.
Mm-hmm. So does every deck want utility lands then?
I think it depends on the like one, what kind of mana they make,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have a lot of like red color pips, you don't want to put like 8 lands that tap for colorless in your deck because they do something,
Right.
right? But I think that most decks want one or two
Mm-hmm.
utility lands that does something more than just mountain.
Right.
Right? Like if you're an aggro deck and you get Ramanop Ruins. And like, hey, my mountain also deals two sometimes.
Hmm.
Right? Like, oh, everything's gone bad. I have 6 lands. It's okay. One of them is a shock.
Right.
Really bad 5 mana shock, but a shock.
Yep.
Or is it Castle Embreth? Oh, hey, my land is a Trumpet Blast.
Yep.
Or half a Trumpet
Half a
Blast.
trumpet blast.
Yeah. That's way better than it just being a mountain.
Hmm.
But oftentimes you don't want to put like 4 in because what if they come into play tapped? You don't meet the condition. Or it comes into play tapped all the time and you have to like hit your 1 drop so you can curve out.
Yeah.
So I say most decks want maybe 1 or 2, but there are some decks like we talked about, like Living End. They don't care. Like they're not planning on their lands needing to help them if they flood out
Right.
because they're just trying to like do their thing.
They have a game plan and no backup.
Yeah, all brakes, no gas.
That's
Just
right.
do the thing. So like the cop out of it depends, but I think for the most part, like most mid range decks, if you're playing a mid range deck, you want 2 to 4 lands in your mana base that do something more than tap for mana.
Yeah.
And that depends on the rate, right? Like, is this thing cheap enough for me to activate? And then kind of what you get out of it.
Hmm.
Control decks, sometimes they have a little bit more. But control decks also will have, we've talked about like the win con in their deck, in their mana base, but also sometimes have like Field of Ruin or ways to attack their opponent's mana base
Yeah.
because it's really hard for them to like wrath away a creature land.
Yeah. It also
Right, so
depends on
this,
what the format looks like.
yes, true. If
Yeah.
there aren't any good lands,
Yeah.
then they don't have to worry about that.
Or if decks are really mana hungry, something like I don't know, a Ghost Quarter or whatever kind of goes up in value if you know your opponent's playing a really greedy mana base without a whole lot of basics. Something like Ghost Quarter goes way up in value.
But you also have to balance that with like, what if it's a format where your best counter spell is absorb,
Right.
right? And you're like, oh, I can't play too many Ghost Quarter / Field of Ruins because I need like blue white
Yeah.
for my 3 mana counter spell. So you have to balance like what makes your mana base work, and then what your opponent's mana base is going to look like as well. Like you said, like, oh man, I can Ghost Quarter them, and it's just a strip mine.
Yeah.
Okay, like that works for me.
Yep.
So
There is kind of, I'll call it a fourth type of land
okay,
that we haven't actually touched on yet that kind of sits somewhere between all of those. And those are like the various types of fetch lands. So like the actual 10 fetch lands, but then also Fabled Passage or Evolving Wilds or like something along those lines.
Prismatic Vista.
Yeah, Prismatic Vista.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know when you want some of that?
So in the fetch land formats, right, those just give you more sources of your colors, especially since they put so many
Land types on lands.
on lands on non-basic lands that you can go fetch. As you know what, 10 years ago you just had the shock lands in the original duels,
Right.
and now you have the shocks, the duels,
Triomes.
the triomes, and the surveil lands.
Yep.
So you've got 4 different things that you can search that all do 4 very different, well, 3 very different things.
Yeah.
Right. So there is the benefit of like being able to get a surveil land and like get kind of like a free manipulation of your deck. There's, do you care if you shuffle?
Yep.
Right. So like the brainstorm aspect.
Yep.
Brainstorm, or hey, like I have fetch lands in my deck, so if I mulligan, I can put this card that is important for my deck, but I don't need on turns 1 through 4. It's more of the card I want to draw on turn 5 or 6. You put it on the bottom of your deck, and then when you
Shuffle
crack
it
your
in.
shuffle, it's now shuffled back in and you have a chance to draw it,
Yeah.
right? Where and then there's also like, do you care about your graveyard?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you delving things,
Yep.
and things like that? So in older formats, fetch lands are kind of ubiquitous because it lets you. Oh, and then there's also like it's a smaller thing, but like deck thinning,
Mm-hmm.
where like I'm playing, you know, 24 lands and like eight fetch lands.
Yep.
Well, I like I can pull two lands out of my deck at a time, right? Like I draw a fetch land, I get another land out,
Yep.
so I get kind of perfect mana. Plus, I'm now not gonna draw that surveil land or that shock land later on
Yep.
because I took it out of my deck.
Yeah, that's kind of an extra benefit to shocks also is they can walk the line in between mana fixing and utility
Mhm.
because like depending on the circumstances of the game, you could either go get a dual land to make sure that your mana is set up for the next turn untapped, or you could go get a surveil land to help the top of your deck, or whatever. I think there's some utility lands that are just single color that have land types too, aren't there?
Oh, I guess the ones from Throne of Eldraine, like did like Mystic Sanctuary have a
Oh
land
yeah,
type? Was it an
I think
island?
that was an island. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those were all. So yeah, there are some that you can like fetch out a utility land that does something.
Hmm.
And then if you're playing like disgusting alchemy cards, that stupid hydroponics guy that turns a random card in your deck into an island,
Yeah.
and then your fetch land can like sometimes go get a strip mine.
Yeah.
It's also an island. Thanks, alchemy.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think the fetches are almost always right. Some number of them.
Yeah.
Like I have like, what Hearth Hall uh commander deck, and it plays all the fetches it can. I think
Hmm.
it gets to play nine because um like Hearth Hall cares about lands going in the graveyard and landfall, right?
Right.
Like the fetch lands got printed into Zendikar because they supported landfall.
Yep.
And so they care about landfall and lands leaving the graveyard. They do a lot of things.
Yep.
So like if your deck is doing anything that kind of like the fetch land support, you should play them.
All right.
And
So
they're much more economical than they used to be.
definitely. What about like the pseudo fetch lands? Like instead of the OG 10, what about like the Fabled Passages or the Evolving Wilds or the Prismatic Vistas?
So of those, like Prismatic Vista is the best because the basic land comes into play untapped all the time.
Hmm.
Um, then like Fabled Passage is next. Like you have to have it has to be your fourth land, and then it comes into play untapped.
Yep.
Um, again, like it's more of like a Pioneer standard land, but it does all the same things, right? It supports landfall, it supports shuffling, all these different things. So it gives you a way to like fix your mana and get additional effects.
Hmm.
And especially in a format where you don't have uh like the actual fetch lands,
Yeah.
it's a pretty good option. And like, if you play four Fabled Passages in one of each basic,
Hmm.
you now have five sources of each color,
Right.
right? So like those four lands basically multiply how many of each of the basics you have that you can get when you need them.
Right.
So it gives you a lot of flexibility. So if you need like if you're playing a color intensive deck, that can help.
Hmm.
Evolving Wilds is harder because it comes into play untapped all the time.
Comes into play tapped.
So sorry, tapped.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, sorry. Sorry, tapped all the time. So like I think you really have to care about like landfall. So like I think they're getting played in like the Might Form Harmonizer deck in standard. and like things where they care about like getting landfall triggers.
Yeah, I think like Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds are gonna have a lot harder time seeing play in modern Magic than they used to. Like
Hmm.
there have certainly been standard formats where every mana base included Evolving Wilds because the mana was bad. With 8, 9 sets a year, plus standard being, depending on how you count it, between 3 and 5 years long. Like the number of different dual lands that we're going to have available in standard is so big. I don't really know that Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds are going to cut the mustard anymore.
Yeah,
But they traditionally have seen play when just mana was really that bad. You didn't have a choice.
yeah, and like you said, we're not going to get to a point of really bad mana in standard.
Yeah.
I think one because of just the size of standard, like you said, and you know, kind of the unwritten rule is there's always a rare land cycle,
Yeah,
or
except for
almost always a
Bloomborough.
rare. Yeah, but, like there's almost always a rare land cycle,
Yeah.
and then um, what was my other point? There's always a rare land cycle, and I think that they are mindful of the fact in design, like designing of the standard environment, that standards where the mana is bad
Right.
are less fun.
Yep.
Like, oh, I really wish I could do this, but the mana won't let me.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that was a lesson we learned from Zendikar Khan's standard, where people enjoy the format a lot more when you can just do whatever you want, basically.
Yeah, like I can put any cards in here that I want.
Yep.
All right, so uh, and a lot of the lands we're going to talk about also are lands that have been printed previously.
Hmm.
So like there are very few of these that are like unique. We have like the slow lands from Secrets of Strixhaven, which are the ones that come into play untapped only if they are your third land or later.
Yeah, so those were reprints from Innistrad? Is that where we had
Uh,
slow lands?
I think it's like I think it's Shadows over Innistrad,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant.
maybe.
Yeah,
Like one of those two. It was like
yeah.
Shadows or
Eldritch
is
Moon.
they had like yeah, because like one of them had like the snarls before they made them the snarls,
Yeah,
and then the other one I think had these lands.
yeah,
Um, these are more like they're kind of more like mid-range slash like control lands
yeah,
where you're okay not using your mana on turn one, but having access to your two colors,
yeah.
like on turns three and four, or you're okay with like I can play this on turn three, and then on turn five, six, seven, I want the land that I draw to come into play untapped.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is there, I think in the past, these have seen play in decks with a low number of duels and a high
Mhm.
number of lands that came into play untapped because they're a way for you to get a splash color but still have all of your mana early. Like if you're splashing I don't know, a red black card in your mono red deck, like the
Mm.
chances of you casting that on turn 1 or 2 are very low to start with. So it doesn't really cost you anything to have, you know, 3 or 4 red black slow lands in your deck.
Yeah, like there's a Calisel sword that has like the fling variant on
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yep.
So you're like this red deck that you're like, well, if like things go terrible, I'd like to be able to cast this 2/1.
Yeah.
It's like one of the black. So I'll throw some of these in my deck
Mm-hmm.
because I'm only gonna need this black mana deep in the game.
Right.
Um, and then we've got uh the Shocklands are the second best dual land cycle in Magic.
Yes.
They are just behind. There's a pretty big gap, but they are just behind the. Maybe there's not a big gap.
The gap isn't that big. I mean, I when I first started playing Legacy, I absolutely subbed out duels for shock lands, and
It
obviously
was
it's
fine.
not optimal, but like the game functions.
Yeah. All right, so the shocklands are the next layer
Hmm.
or the next level down, and they're the best lands that we get kind of in modern Magic.
Yeah,
Um, and a big thing for them in older formats that we've talked about is the fact they are fetchable, that they have
right.
basic land types. Like they would be very different if they didn't have the basic land types. It was just like
Yeah,
if Hollowed Fountain was just like, land and then attacked for it had the same text, but you couldn't fetch it,
yeah.
it would not be nearly as playable.
Yeah, not just nearly. Like they may borderline be not playable. Like they
I
would.
think they'd be like
I think they'd be like
stand.
bad.
I think they could be like standard and pioneer playable, but when you got to formats that had fetch lands, they wouldn't see they'd like fall off a cliff.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if you had the option of running a fast land or a shock with no basic land types. You'd probably run the fast land, or vice versa. Like if you were a slower deck, you would run a slow land over them.
Yeah, I I don't know because like it depends. Like in standard now, does the basic land type? I guess the basic land type might matter for a few things,
Yeah,
but not a ton. So I think it would depend on how much the basic land type mattered. But in fetch land formats, the basic land type matters so much. That's why they're just the lands that you see everywhere.
right.
And like even though like they have been printed repeatedly, they are still like $8 to $12 depending on the land.
I mean, some of them are
And
more than that. Like some of the shocks are more expensive than fetches are at this point.
which is disgusting.
Like the most
Uh
expensive shocks are more expensive than the least expensive fetches, which is
yeah,
absolutely wild.
yes, it
And
used to not be like that at all.
yeah, it also seems like Wizards is perfectly fine with having shocks in standard,
Mhm.
because we've been through multiple standard formats with shocks legal now recently.
Yeah, like when we went back to we went 6 years ago with Ravnica.
Mm-hmm.
We went back to Ravnica, and now we have them now.
Yeah.
Was there a time in between?
Um,
Can't remember.
I don't. I think we've
Yeah,
just had them.
we're gonna look real quick. All right, so Hallowed Fountain has been in the Lorwyn, and then we've also been in a lot of like. So they've been in original Ravnica, and then Return to Ravnica.
Yep.
We won't count the masterpieces, and then they were in the guilds block,
Yep.
and then we got like infinite fancy ones,
Mm-hmm.
and we got them again in Lorwyn and Edge of Eternity.
Okay.
It was six
So
years.
maybe we did have a few years in there without them.
Yeah, but they have shown up pretty frequently, like every 5-ish years they
Mm-hmm.
come back. But I also kind of feel like with the power level of standard, like that's going to like change.
Yeah, I
They
think
might they
they're
might come back every like 2 or 3 years.
just long enough to keep them in standard. I think they're,
Yeah,
for the
they might
power
just be
level of the
evergreen.
format, I think they're fine.
Yeah. All right. So then Avatar didn't have any duels,
Nope.
but they had the utility lands.
Yep.
So there's the green one that makes a creature an earthbend creature,
Mm-hmm.
the black one that makes a 1/1. Oh gosh. I don't
I
know what
don't
the
know
other
them
ones.
off the top of my head.
Oh, I think the red one makes firebending mana
Oh yeah, I think it does.
or like gives your creatures firebend. Uh and then there's the white one and uh,
The blue one loots. The white one
Oh,
puts a
okay.
+1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Oh, that one's good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So those all come down to like rate and like the green one gets played in that like landfall might form harmonizer deck.
yeah,
Partly because one, if they kill your thing, you get a landfall trigger.
right.
Right? And two, um, right, like you kind of combo off and you deal 16 damage.
Yep.
Hey, I can now you have to deal with this. You had to kill all my other creatures. Now I have this land that's just going to like keep making a creature every turn. And since it doesn't make itself a creature,
Right.
it makes it even harder.
Yep.
And it's kind of making like a token that you have to kill each turn.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you're gonna run out of removal.
Yeah.
And then you'll sneak those last few points of damage in.
So, like on these utility lands, how much of a drawback is the drawback entering tapped unless you control a basic?
I think that it is big if you are trying to have like a really color intensive two color deck
Yeah.
where you're like I can't play a bunch of basics because I won't be able to cast my spells.
Yeah, if you
Right,
need
like
12 duels to make your mana right, then you're probably not going to have the volume of basics to have this come in untapped in the early turns.
yeah. But like the white one is powerful enough that like even having like two
Yeah.
and being like, well, in the late game, getting to put like four power on the board is good enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it kind of depends. But like it might not be able to do like four, but you could do like one or two. Like if you're like, well, this could be like my my sixth planes, or I can have five planes and this dual land.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's better to have that one, not that one dual land, but that one utility land
Yeah. Um,
as opposed.
that's also pretty common for utility lands to not have a whole playset. Just run
Yeah,
like a couple of them to pad your mana base a little bit.
yeah. It's like you like it's not one of those things where you like you need to have it in your opening hand. It might be more of a hey, if I draw this on turn six, it'll be great,
Yeah.
but I don't want it on turns one through five.
Right.
Um, but like these, I think it really comes down to like the rate on the blue one isn't it like two and a blue to loot. Like that's just too high.
Yeah.
And the black one makes I forget what it is, but it makes like a 1/1 that can only block other spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you can put it in your like blue black control deck and have this like stream of blockers to slow down the game
Mm-hmm.
because they can't block half like
Most.
most creatures.
Yeah. Blocks the hell out
So
of changelings, though.
get them. Like so like the two lands that are kind of the best rate, the white one and the green one, that are also kind of the most impactful,
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that are getting played.
Yeah.
And the other ones that are like too situational slash too expensive
Mm-hmm.
just don't see play.
Yeah.
So just because you're like, I'm the blue black deck, doesn't mean you have to like play
Shoehorn
the
into blue
blue,
and black.
yeah, like the blue and black utility lands
Yeah.
because like there is a real drawback, and if the upside like isn't good enough, or I might activate this loot like once a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you can find a better land
Yeah.
than that, or just like the island might be better,
Mm-hmm.
or like the other knock-on effects. So what about uh the set that shall not be named?
Did you see it's getting named?
It is
Yeah.
terrible.
On Arena.
Oh, it is?
It is, yeah. They're
I did not see that.
yeah, they're going through and giving like whatever they're gonna let you keep the cards that have the fake name or the real names or whatever you want to call them, but then they're also gonna fill in with the Spider-Man cards.
Wow, they must have like leaned on
Yeah, I have no idea
Marvel
what's going on there.
or maybe the license
Yeah, it's very
or,
strange.
or
I don't understand why they would go
yeah.
through all that work.
Well, what I'm guessing is people hated through the Omen paths,
Well, they did.
and and but now they have another set that like was kind of gonna be through the Omen pathy,
Yeah,
and maybe they were able to be like, hey, can we change this? Can we give you guys a couple extra bucks
yeah,
so that we don't have to like tank another set on Arena?
right.
And they were like, okay, fine.
The first time Disney has ever said okay, fine to a company.
Yes. Uh, you have more money. So apparently Spider-Man, and not through the Omen paths, spider people of various persuasions.
Right.
Actual Spider-Man. So
So
what's going on with these lands?
well, it's kind of weird because like there isn't a cycle. It's just like a smattering of lands, and like some of them are duels and some of them are utilities. So like these
Hmm?
ones maybe we'll actually talk about.
Okay.
First is multiversal package or package. Wow, multiversal passage comes into play. You choose a basic land type, and then it's a shock land for that land type, basically.
Yeah.
So this, I'm assuming, would follow the same rules as the shock lands would.
Yeah. It it's kind of
I mean, it's
it
worse,
doesn't it's worse. It doesn't have the land type,
right?
but if you're a again, like if you're a red-white deck, right, you're like, oh, I have Sacred Foundry and I have this, so I either have my turn one white source or my turn one red source.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so now I have 8 ways to get turn one red or white.
Yeah.
I can play my white one drop or my red one drop.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the worse than a shock, but like still I think kind of the most played like rare or some of the most played rare lands.
Yeah. This one's kind of weird. Like it's difficult because it doesn't tap for two colors.
It
So
only that's for the one, yeah.
like you have to pick whatever you're missing. So like maybe this is a bad fifth or sixth shock,
Mhm.
and like maybe you even want either fast lands or slow lands instead of your first multiversal passage.
I think in an aggro deck you'd want like your fast land. Like I think like
Yeah.
if you were building like a red white aggressive deck, you would want to go like Inspiring Vantage. Well, you go Sacred Foundry, Inspiring Vantage, and then probably the full four multiversal passages,
Mm-hmm. Just so you know you have
right?
it.
Yeah, so you know that you have like you're never gonna have whatever, Ragavan and Ocelot Pride in your hand and not be able to cast one of them.
Right.
Right? You're not gonna be like, oh, I have my Ragavan in my planes. Oh,
Yeah.
or vice versa. You're like, no, I have multiversal passages. I can cast the one
Yeah.
that I want to cast this turn.
This also seems like a step below the triomes, where if you were running like a 3 or 4 color deck trying to get up to some
Mm,
crazy shenanigans, this is kind of also a triome.
yeah, but yeah, it is worse. The fact that it does pick up the land type
Yeah.
does help with like if you have like domain shenanigans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it only taps for one thing,
Right.
right? Like if you are like you said, like a 4 or 5 color deck, like in a fetch land format, being able to like get a triome
Mm-hmm.
and then like be like, oh, okay, I get the land types plus I know I have access to all three of these things is better than a multiversal passage.
Yep, I agree.
All right, and then we have Oscorp Industry, which was the Madness land or the Mayhem
Mayhem.
land.
Yep. Yep. Taps for
So
Grixis, and when it enters from the graveyard, you lose 2 life. It always enters tapped, but with Mayhem, it can be an additional land drop. Right? Or
no,
no,
I
no,
thought it
no,
could
no,
just be
no. Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. You're
You
right.
could just discard it
Yeah.
and then play it from your
Yep.
graveyard. It is I don't know. It's a oh gosh, what were they called? like it's the tri lands from like cons
Mm-hmm.
with like extra steps.
Yep.
Like unless you are like hard discarding all the time,
Yeah.
and you are okay with a land that comes into play tapped, but usually the decks that are like I'm trying to like, you know, loot or rummage aggressively want to use their mana on every single turn.
Yeah.
So like, hey, I can play it from my graveyard, but like, no, it's like I want to play like Shockland, um, Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
And then next turn I want to play another Shockland and another Faithless Looting and a Careful Study or a Burning Inquiry or whatever.
Whatever.
I I don't want to like, ooh, like I discarded my land and now I get to play it. It's like, well, now I'm like three cards. I have three less cards in my graveyard
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't use my mana this turn.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought it was super neat,
Mm-hmm.
but it just hasn't seen any play.
Yep.
So it makes it like, yeah. And Urban Retreat is kind of the same.
Yeah. It's super niche. It's taps for Bant, enters tapped, or you can bounce a creature, right? Yeah.
Yeah, web's like bounce the tapped creature,
Yeah.
the web slinging into play. But I don't think you get like an extra land drop. I think you just get to pick the creature up.
Right.
I don't remember. Yeah. So, yeah, like you have to, like, you don't want to, like, there are very few creatures that you're like, I want to pick this thing back up and play it again
Yeah.
so that I can play this land. Right? Like, yes, a lot of creatures have spells on them now,
Mm-hmm.
but like not enough that you want to like not develop your board and spend
Right.
like the mana again. So again, it was like super neat. And I have played this in limited where it's just like, oh hey, cool, I have a Bant tri land for my like three color like deck in limited.
Sure.
It doesn't really hasn't had a place in like constructed magic.
Yep.
Like this is an uncommon power level card that I got late in the pack. I will take it. All right, so we already talked about the shocks from Edge of Eternity.
Yep.
Then we have the planets.
Yeah, the planets. We kind of alluded to them either earlier. I'm trying to let's see, trying to bring them up so I could refresh myself here.
The green one is like Gaia's Cradle at Home. The blue one is I think it's Solarian Academy at Home.
Um, yes. Yep.
Um,
The
and then
black one is pay 2 life, second creature, draw cards for its power.
okay,
The red one is sack a land, make a token, and then trumpet blast the team.
okay,
Um, the white one is copy an artifact or enchantment.
just weird, but okay.
Yeah,
It should have just been Sarah Sanctum at
it
Home. Like
totally should have.
we had a thing going here, Wizards.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, you can't have nice
No,
things.
you don't get coffers. You don't get Sarah Sanctum.
Yeah, that did better if it would have just been like Sarah Sanctum coffers, and then I don't know, they just make the red one Shivan Gorge again, just for the meme. Um, so these are like they haven't really seen any play other than the green one.
Yeah, I mean they're tough to turn on is the problem, and they're just bad until you turn them on.
Yeah, they always come into play tapped,
Yeah.
and they're they're a hey, the cost isn't worth it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? They're always tapped, and then how much it costs to like actually use them is so far like out of their own possibility. I think if they would have been like they're all 10, right?
No, they're all 12.
12, gee.
Yeah.
Like maybe if they were 8, like maybe then they see more play.
Well, so
And like
think about the rules that we kind of arbitrarily made up when we started here, right? For a utility land, you want it to provide a value if you're a control deck, and provide insurance against flood if you're an aggro deck. And an aggro deck still isn't going to want a land that comes into play tapped. So like an aggro deck's not going to play these. And a control deck isn't going to have 12 power worth of creatures to turn them on. So like what deck even wants these?
Yeah, and the aggro deck it isn't going to want to be like, I'm not going to attack this turn.
Right.
Let me station my thing. So,
Yeah.
like, it kind of goes against aggro decks on two fronts.
Yeah.
The only decks that have played these are the Kona decks, that where Kona cares about being tapped and it
Yeah.
gives you a free way to tap your Kona.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So there's not like they're like I don't even know, like I definitely don't know enough about Commander, but I don't even know if these are good in Commander where it feels like they are like
Meant for.
meant for.
Yeah.
Like where they just keep trying to like make a new Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah.
And it's just like closer or further away. Try
You're
again.
getting warmer,
Yeah,
warmer, warmer,
warmer, warmer.
colder,
Cold. Yeah,
colder.
no, 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 bad, 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 bad. Yeah. So I don't know. It is like they just kind of miss the mark because there isn't like a natural home.
Yeah.
They all require creatures, so that like eliminates the hard control decks. And then decks that have creatures in them, especially in modern Magic, are attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not like just playing like dirtily creatures that don't like get in.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just be like, I'm gonna take a turn off. Like even in limited, people like weren't activating these things.
Right.
Or if they did, it was typically wrong.
Right.
Right? Can you imagine you're like, you get your thing up to like 8 or 10, and then your opponent like kills your creatures. And like you've wasted multiple turns doing nothing,
Right.
right? And then, you like turn on your white land and they then kill the enchantment that you were gonna copy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I have nothing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just kind of like it was kind of neat, but I think they're priced too high. Right? Like it's hard to be like, I'm gonna skip 2 to 3 combats.
Mm-hmm.
And then the payoff for like all of them just wasn't good enough to justify it.
Yeah, I mean, Gaia's Cradle's great, but if you got to take 3 combats off and let your opponent interact with your board while you're turning it on, like, you're probably not going to do a whole lot with whatever mana you get out of it.
Yeah, like you can't sneak, boom, I have 12 extra mana now. It's like,
Right.
no, I see it coming. I guess I should like stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
And like, didn't they also only like station as a sorcery?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like that even makes it harder too. You can't even like on your ends like have up blockers and then on your end step tap them.
Yeah.
Right? Just everything went against them. I think it was one of those things where like it was a new mechanic
Mm-hmm.
and they were kind of the mindset of we don't want to if we break it, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
So let's like err on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just went too far.
Yep.
So um
So then for Final Fantasy, we didn't have a cycle of duels. There was like a random duel. But the cycle was the Adventurelands.
and then we had starting town.
Yeah,
We kind of talked
starting town. Yep.
So, starting town is the like fastiest of fast lands.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just counts your turns,
Yep.
not how many lands. So, like, oh hey, if it's your third land on turn 4, womp womp. But like on the early turns, it's great. It is a painless, colorless source,
Mm-hmm.
and then a painful colored source. So it's like somewhere like somewhere around mana confluence. Like you can't say that it's like worse or better.
Yeah, it's around
It's
there.
different.
Yeah.
It's around there though. So and like we talked about, like if you're a combo deck or something that doesn't like it's like has a lot of color requirements and doesn't super care about their life total,
Yeah.
it's it does everything you want it to do.
Yep.
Um
Didn't
and then the
Adnaz played a bunch of those pain lands too, right? The Rainbow lands.
thing. Hmm?
if I remember.
Um, there were like different versions of Dark Depths. Those like
Mm-hmm.
rainbow Dark Depths that
Yep,
just
Rainbow
played like
Depths.
all the all the different colored lands.
Yep,
And the adventure lands were they always came into play tapped.
yep. But sometimes they were a spell.
Yes. Um, these were kind of the same, like the cost for all of them were just a little too high
Yep,
for like the spell half. Like in the like, oh, it's a spell and then it can also be a land drop. Like the spells were a little too expensive and not powerful enough to like justify the it comes into play tapped all the time
yep.
and doesn't fix your mana. Though, if you wait long enough, Saffron Olive will make a video of you. So, what is it called? Demonstration technique.
Mm-hmm.
The red one that you exile 4 mana value worth of cards.
Yeah.
The lands are 0 mana value, but
Ah.
then you can cast a spell for free.
Yeah.
So he made a deck where like he could cast like 20 mana value worth of the lands,
For whatever that's worth,
which
I guess.
not a lot,
Yeah.
but if you wait long enough, Saffron Olive will come for you
He'll meme on you.
and will play you. Yeah. Like the black one was close if it was an instant instead of a sorcery. Because it
Yeah.
was like 2 and a black to like sack a creature, draw two.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's close. If it was like 2 and a black instant, maybe. It was 1 and a black sorcery, maybe, but where they put it was just not quite there.
Yeah.
And then like the other ones were just like, ugh. It just wasn't anything redeeming about them.
Mm-hmm.
This is another one that felt like it feels like we might get this again, and they might like do that. It comes into play tapped unless you control a basic land
Yeah.
or a certain land type, and then the spells might be a little bit more competitive. This felt like the first version
Yeah.
where they were maybe a little afraid, and then someone's just gonna be like, remove the downsides, take off a mana value, and then like they'll be in every single deck.
Well, I mean, it's tough though because you also like adventure is kind of a thematic mechanic. Like you can't just
Mhm.
throw adventure in any set and it's good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
adventure doesn't work in Estrad.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm. But like it's one of those things where if they were the next time we do adventures, wherever that is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whatever like random IP they decided once we get the adventure time, like in universe set, um, it feels like they could do these in a way that they would be more playable.
Yeah.
If they were dual lands
Yeah.
that then had like a gold adventure on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like maybe that would work.
Yeah. They'll be in
But
Star
like,
Trek, but renamed as away missions instead of adventures.
yeah, or something. But they just didn't quite hit the mark.
Yep.
Right? It goes back to like the cost. The cost was just too high
Mm-hmm.
for what you got out of them. Like the best lands are the ones that you feel like you get to put in your deck for free.
Absolutely.
Like, hey,
Absolutely.
I don't feel like there's any downside to me having this in my deck.
I mean, I think
Right?
that kind of nicely wraps up like all of the rules that we kind of put down. Like
Why did
aggro.
I think of that at the beginning?
Yeah, I know, right? Like aggro decks feel free when like their land does something besides be a basic and comes into play untapped.
Untapped.
Control decks feel free when it provides value late game and fixes your mana, and it doesn't matter if it comes into play tapped.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's kind of like the golden rule: is if it feels free to put in your deck, you're probably safe.
Yeah, but like if you feel like, oh man, I've played some hands with this and I feel like I keep drawing this too much or my mana's
Yeah,
like too awkward, I can't do what I want to do, what the deck wants to do because I keep drawing these lands, well then it's not free anymore.
yeah,
It's like you either put less of them in or you take them out altogether.
yeah.
Right.
Um,
And then
yeah, how many more of these you want to go through?
um I think like looking. We've talked about the fast lands.
Yep.
I think like we could maybe like to the Tarkir Dragonstorm lands, like only the blue one sees play like sometimes,
Yeah.
like in like old combo decks. Uh so same kind of thing, like just the rate on them for what they do
Hmm.
and the drawback not good enough. I think
Well,
we've
like
talked
you
about
said,
all
like specifically in old formats, the drawback isn't a drawback because like
yeah,
you're gonna have a bunch of land types. So
yeah. So there is like the comparison of the temples and foundations
I was
that
just
no one
gonna,
is playing,
yep, I was just gonna say the same thing. In the
and then
surveil
the
lands, yeah.
yes. So they both do kind of the same thing at the base level, right?
Well, I mean, like we've talked on the show before, that surveil is kind of better scry.
Hmm.
It's a more useful scry. So like that's already the surveil lands have a step up on the temples. And then, as we mentioned earlier, they also have basic land types, which make them a lot of steps higher than the temples.
So you'll see a lot of legacy decks. Um, Brian Cook brings this up a lot, where they'll have like maybe two surveil lands in their deck, and so now on turn one you can fetch your surveil land
Hmm.
and get a scry. Even though it comes into play tapped, you are still getting some percentage of a mana
Right.
because you are getting to do something with that land coming in.
Hmm.
Right? Like, oh, I need to find my second land. I'm going to fetch a surveil land and hope that I like see a land on top. And if I don't see a land, I'm gonna get to surveil it away and then hopefully hit my land.
Yeah.
Right? Um, so like you might play one or two surveillance to have that interaction.
Hmm.
You're like, hey, I need my top card to be this. I'm going to use my surveil land now to go see what it is.
Yep.
But you can't do that with the temples.
Right.
Um, Having land types matters even in non-fetch lands formats. Like, hey, I'm gonna play a leyline binding
Hmm.
or a tribal flames,
Yep.
and I need to have basic land types.
Yep.
So, and then putting something in your graveyard for delve or for flashback or for any number of things
Yep.
is more powerful than putting it on the bottom.
Absolutely.
I will point out what is um the Bright Cook plays his like Pioneer combo deck is Lotus Field,
Hmm.
and he plays the Scrylands and not the Surveils,
Oh, okay.
because what if you hit one of your combo pieces?
Oh, and you want
You
it
don't you
later,
don't
but not
want to.
right now. Yeah.
So like that is the one time like, and he'll like talk about it, like people say, why don't you play the Scryland or the Surveillance? And he's like, because
Yeah.
like if I hit one of my combo pieces, I don't want to draw it, but I don't want it in my graveyard either. It needs to be in my deck.
Yeah.
And there's no fetch lands in Pioneer, so like you like not having there's no downside of the of not being able to fetch it.
Yep.
That's like the only time that I've seen someone be like, I am picking the temple for this specific reason.
Hmm. That makes sense.
But for pretty much everything else, the surveillance are typically better.
Okay.
Or almost always better.
Um, I think the other thing that we can talk about is the man lands,
Okay?
which more or less follow the same rules as utility lands.
Yes. Where it's You care about like the things that matter there are am I okay with the land coming into play untapped?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, coming into play tapped.
Tapped.
This is really hard. Tapped. So that's typically mid-range decks and
Mid
control
range and
decks are usually
control.
okay with that,
Yep.
right? And then how much does it cost to turn this thing on?
Mm-hmm.
And then how big is it once it is on?
Right.
Right? Like is it a like reasonable threat? So we had was it whatever that was it haunted something or other the green black one? It was like
The
a 4/4.
Yeah, no, it was the cottage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something cottage or
Yeah.
yeah. So like that was a 4/4 that like took 4 mana to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it also like exiled something for their graveyard and made a food.
Right.
It was like right like it closed out a game. It was a good mana sink. It also randomly had like graveyard hate utility and it gave you a way to like gain life.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, you throw a couple of those in your green black deck because they're basically all upside,
Right.
right? And then cannot like then there was Restless Anchorage, the blue white
Yeah, the
one,
one
which you
you
talked
talked about
about,
earlier.
and then a whole bunch of I don't remember them.
Well, like that's kind of the thing with manlands is like when they're legal, you're typically going to get either half of them or all of them legal at a time.
Mhm.
And like not all of them are going to see play. Like
Yeah,
the first time manlands were printed, like the red black one saw no play. That's kind of a meme, right?
yeah. Restless Vents,
Yeah, I
did
think
it
so.
from
But
Zendikar.
like the red green one saw a ton of play in Jund. The blue black one saw a ton of play. The white blue one
Hmm.
saw a ton of play. And then when they came back in BFZ, the white black one, 3 mana, 2/3 lifelink, saw play.
Hmm. Imling Vents.
Yep. And the blue green one saw some play. Lumbering,
Hmm.
whatever.
Lumbering Pulse.
Yep.
It's like a 4 mana 3/3 hexproof.
Yeah. But that was really it. The blue red one saw some play too.
A little the Wandering Funeral.
Yeah,
It's
where you
like
can.
a 1/4, and you can switch the power and toughness.
Yeah. But like
Yeah,
the
and
whole
then
cycle of them didn't see play. It was just like select ones.
it's
But
usually like what deck is already like what two color combination is already powerful.
well, and can
Like
afford a
the
tap land.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, they usually don't like they're not gonna put a color pair over the they're not gonna like make a color pair playable,
Mm-hmm.
but they may like
Boost a deck.
boost the deck a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but like again, these come down to is what I'm paying in my tap land cost. Is it made up for in the fact that hey, this is something that is like cheap to activate,
Yep.
it's big, or it does a thing that matters. So like the black white one was like a 1/4, but when it attacked, they lost two and you gained two.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think it was like four to activate or something. It wasn't terrible. Like you could like stretch a game out, and like a 1/4 can like block reasonably if like push comes to shove.
Yep.
But you have like remember the red white one, like
Oh yeah.
needle whatever,
And
needle verge or something.
yeah, something like that.
And it's like a 2/1 like double strike.
Mm-hmm. For 3 mana.
Like was it for or is it a 2/1 first strike?
Well, it was like
Like
it was one red white to turn on.
yeah, but I don't know if it was had first strike or double strike, but it
I
just
think it was
wasn't
double
really,
strike.
but it just wasn't big enough,
Yeah.
right? Like it was just like it just didn't do enough, and like you have to be mindful as well, like a 1/2 for 1 mana they can shock it and stone rain you if you turn it on.
Well, not just that, but like a 2/1 double strike wants to be in an aggro deck. And an aggro deck probably doesn't want to commit 4 mana to having a 2/1 attacker.
Hmm. And doesn't want to like miss their turn one play.
Yeah.
So like it's just where I mean the blue black one sees play in the combo deck now.
Mm-hmm.
The uh the Excruciator decks
Yeah.
because it mills.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I would say that in general, you want your like activation on your man land to be four or less,
Yeah.
and like you want to be kind of at like the Mutavault or Mishra's Factory of like I make a colorless and I cost like one to turn on,
Hmm.
and then you can go a little like, and then if you start making colors, you get like a little bit more leeway to cost a little bit more to turn on, like two or three. And if you make two colors, you get to have like it to be at like three or four.
Hmm.
And then only like the outlier of like Hall of the Storm Giants. It's like I go in a control deck, you're gonna have 12 lands when you decide to turn me on,
Yeah.
and I end the game in like three turns.
Hmm.
So that's fine. But like for the most part, if it's like, oh, like five or six to activate, like that's asking a
A
lot.
lot. Well,
I
especially
think I
since
think
like you need the land untapped too. So
yeah, it's like kind of like one extra.
yeah.
I think like the blue green one that like was a 4/4 and turned something into a 3/3.
Hmm.
Like that one was five, but it also like pumped one of your things or
Yeah.
shrank one of their things. So, but for the most part, like you want to be four or less, and then think about if I draw this land and it comes to the play tapped, am I? It doesn't like kind of mess everything up.
Right.
Oh, and one more thing. This is like an old thing for the like the temples.
Hmm.
So when the temples were in like on standard,
Hmm.
right? There was like there were like two schools of thought, which is, oh, I have temples. So do I play less lands because my
Oh
temples are
yeah.
going to help me find my lands, or do I play more lands because my temples are going to put the extra lands on the bottom? I think the right answer, if I remember, was like PV and Co was on you play more lands.
Yeah. I think that.
Like
I
yeah,
think that
you
was
play
the
like 20,
consensus.
you play like 26 or 27
Yeah.
because you put the extra ones on the bottom because you want to hit like you want to make sure you hit your fourth and your fifth land.
Yep.
So that is like format dependent,
Hmm.
but you know, if your deck really cares about hitting land drops, having the surveillance or having the temples, you can be like, hey, I'm gonna make sure I play extra lands and just get rid of the extra ones,
Yep.
as opposed to I'm gonna play less lands and try to dig to them.
Yep.
So just the thing to keep in mind is the lands that you manipulate the top, it's probably better to have a few more lands because you're still gonna hit your land drops.
Yeah. That's probably a little bit tougher pill to swallow for most people though, because like a lot of people have problems making cuts to their decks
Hmm.
than like adding cards, and it's a lot easier to like mentally wrestle with cutting
Out of the
lands.
land,
Yeah.
then be like, I'm gonna play because like some of those Abzan lists I feel like got up to like 27,
Yeah.
28 lands
Yeah.
because it was so important to hit your land drops. But that was standard 14 years ago
Right.
or 12 years
12
ago
years ago probably.
where it was slower.
Yeah.
Like now standard is like significantly faster. So that's another thing, right? Is like if your format's fast,
Hmm.
like tap lands could just be like more punishing.
A death sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, like oh, like I played like tap land and then a two drop and then a tap land and then another two drop,
Yeah.
and they went like one, two, three, and I couldn't catch up.
Hmm.
And their two drop was like a 3/4, like trample hexproof, like rage dinosaur that hits me and gets counters. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Put a counter on all your creatures. Draw a card. Untap
Yeah,
your lands.
yeah, like Gishat's baby or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, I didn't have a removal spell up, so I got comboed out on turn two by this dinosaur. It's like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Um, Yeah, so I think that's like all of the main ones we did. Do you want to talk about Cavern of Souls real quick?
Yeah, I mean, Cavernous Souls kind of falls into the same bucket as like all of those lands that care about creatures,
Mhm.
where it's impactful where you need it and not very impactful where you don't need it. Cavern is a little unique because of the anti-blue clause there, where the
Mhm.
creature can't
Can't
be
be
countered.
countered.
But again, I think that kind of falls into the same role as like a utility land, where like the decks that want it are going to know that they want it, and the decks that
Mhm.
don't care that it exists really.
Yeah, like it is. It is one that like is more of a deck building constraint,
Yeah.
right? Like if your deck is all one creature type, play Cavern of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
If your deck is 30 creatures and like six spells, and all those creatures are humans,
Mm-hmm.
congratulations, you get to play Cavern of Souls.
Right.
If your deck is like 15 goblins and 15 orcs, you do not play Cavern of
No.
Souls. Right? Like you kind of know, but like it kind of falls in with like oh gosh. What is it called? Unclaimed Territory
Yep.
and like the one from Kamigawa.
Yeah.
Uh right, like if you're playing a typal deck, you play these.
Yep. You're
If
in.
you're not,
You
you
don't.
don't. Right? It's pretty straightforward
Yep.
in that regard. Okay. Anything else?
I think the only thing we didn't touch on was like uncommon lands. Probably
Hmm?
as a rule of thumb, you stay away from them. I don't know that any sort of uncommon comes into play. Tap dual land is worth it for basically any deck, especially like a lot of these. The land cycle used to be like the chase cards for the set. They were all expensive. They were all basically good for their entire tenure in the format.
Hmm?
Um, but like that's not the case now with so many sets in standard competing for the same slots in your deck. Like some of these lands aren't that expensive. I mean, you can pick up like the temples are nothing. Like the temples are
Yeah.
pennies. A lot of these lands just they're not expensive. Like it's not worth trying to squeeze a jungle hollow in your deck when you could play you know
Anything that could come in play untapped or
yeah
become a creature or anything. Yeah,
yeah
like the which I guess on one hand it is a good thing for like accessibility because it used
hmm
to be that the mana bases were the most expensive part of decks.
yep
So now you get access to those. Like I think the last time that like a cycle of uncommon lands saw like consistent play was again the cons block,
yeah
right? Where like all the three colored decks just had to play the uncommon
hmm
tri lands.
yep
And like I think that's like really the last time that there's been like a cycle of uncommon lands that were like played consistently and were like good.
yeah. I mean, I can remember shuffling up some of the gain lands, like early stages of a form, like a small standard, when there just
Hmm.
wasn't the volume of lands in there, and like you needed Swiftwater Cliffs to make the deck work.
Yeah, but
That's
now,
not the case
like you
anymore,
said,
though.
yeah, there's the when standard is small, which we haven't had a rotation seemingly. Like I guess it was one a year ago, but it feels like forever.
Yeah.
Uh, but like y- the small standard is still going to have 16 sets,
hmm
which that was like that is bigger than the biggest standard
Right.
ever was like a decade ago. Yeah, so there's gonna be no reason to play them, which kind of every so often there'll be like the Field of Ruin
hmm
or
Well, the utility
the
lands are a little bit different than like the comes into play tap
yeah,
duels.
fair.
I mean, the what was that stupid blue one from Throne, Mystic
Oh yeah,
Sanctuary? Like that
yes,
was a $10 uncommon at one point.
yes. So I don't know. It feels like yeah, we have moved beyond the lands that are like there to make limited mana basis work,
Yeah.
finding their way into standard,
Yep.
which kind of sad.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, I think we got a show.
We got a show.
So if you want us, you've got things from the Wizard stream you're gonna want us to talk about from Tuesday. Let us know. I will try to do my homework and watch the stream.
Yep.
Um, but if you have anything for the upcoming sets you want us to talk about, or you have like other topics you want us to weigh in on, let us know. Facebook, Discord, Twitter, email, Blue Sky, X, all the places. We are there. Come in, say hey, and let us know what you want us to talk about.
Absolutely. Hit us up. We love hearing from you. If you want to support the show, you can do so via our Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Head on over there, chip a couple bucks in, get access to the show notes, get access to the unshow, and support us at the same time. Everybody wins, and we would appreciate it.
Yeah. With that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We will catch you on the internets.